All right, so today we're going to be looking at habits.
Habits.
You sent in Atomic Habits,
Yeah.
which a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding those little things we do all the time
Right.
that actually end up shaping our lives.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
A lot of people think of habits as things we do without thinking.
right.
But the reality is, they're really powerful tools that we can use to change.
Yeah,
And Atomic Habits gives a really practical framework
yeah.
for understanding how to use those tools.
This is for anyone listening
Mm-hmm.
who wants to improve any area of their life,
Absolutely.
whether it's work relationships,
Yeah.
health.
Yeah, and the thing that's so interesting about the book
Yeah.
is it really emphasizes those small changes.
Mm,
It's not about making these big, dramatic shifts.
right.
It's those tiny little improvements that you do over time.
Right, like the author's own story.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
talks about this baseball injury that he had,
Oh, yeah?
where he was in a medically induced coma, and it took him 8 months to be able to even drive again.
Wow.
But he went from that to becoming an academic All-American
It's amazing.
through these small little steps.
Yeah, it really highlights how those small gains every day,
Yeah.
if you just repeat them day after day, can lead to some incredible results.
And it's something we can all apply in our own lives.
Absolutely.
And something else that really stood out to me was the book talks about this idea of shifting our focus
Okay.
away from setting goals
Mm-hmm.
and towards building systems.
Yeah, that's such a subtle but important difference.
Yeah.
So goals are about the results that you want to achieve.
Mm.
Systems are about the processes that lead to those results.
So instead of thinking I want to lose 10 pounds,
Right.
I'm going to build a system of eating healthy and exercising.
Exactly.
The book argues that when you just focus on the goal,
Yeah.
you're only solving the symptom.
Mm.
You're not solving the root problem.
Yeah, I love that.
So let's talk about these 4 laws of behavior change.
They're great.
Because they provide a practical framework
Yeah.
for building better habits.
Yeah.
So imagine someone's listening to this
Yeah.
and they want to start meditating, but they're having trouble.
Okay.
How would they use the first law, make it obvious?
Okay, so the first law is make it obvious.
Yeah.
So for meditation, one thing they could try is create a very specific cue. So instead of just saying, I'll meditate today,
Yeah.
they could say, after I pour my cup of coffee in the morning, I'll meditate for 5 minutes.
I like that. It
Right.
makes it really clear when and where they're going to do this.
Absolutely. It takes out all the guesswork.
Yeah.
So it becomes really obvious and automatic.
And what about the second law?
Okay, so the second law
Make it attractive.
is make it attractive.
Yeah.
So with meditation, you have to find ways to make it more appealing.
Because sitting in silence, not everyone finds that super fun.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So they could try pairing it with something that they actually enjoy doing. So they could listen to calming music,
Okay.
or they could listen to nature sounds
Yeah.
while they're meditating,
I like that.
or they could use a guided meditation app
Oh, yeah.
that has different themes and styles
Yeah.
to keep it fresh.
And then the third law, make it easy.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Yeah.
So one of the best things you can do is start small. Instead of trying to meditate for 30 minutes,
right.
just start with 5 minutes.
Yeah, just make it easy.
Make it super easy.
Yeah.
You can also choose a dedicated spot in your house. Maybe it's a quiet corner
Right.
in your bedroom or your living room.
So you don't have to think about where you're going to go
Exactly.
to do it.
You just go right to your spot.
And then the fourth law, make it satisfying.
Make it satisfying.
So this is about reinforcing the habit
Yes.
by making it feel good.
Exactly. So one thing they could do is track their progress. So they could use a habit tracker.
Yeah, I love habit trackers.
Yeah.
It's like giving yourself a little reward.
Yeah. You get to see all those little check marks
Yeah.
or X's.
And you can see your progress.
Yeah, and that feels good.
It feels good.
It makes you want to keep going.
Yeah.
They could also reward themselves in other ways.
Okay.
So like they could listen to their favorite podcast
Yeah.
or have a cup of tea
I like that.
after they meditate.
And then Atomic Habits goes deeper
Okay.
by exploring this connection between our habits and our identity.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just about doing things differently. It's about seeing yourself differently.
So it's not I'm doing things differently,
Right.
but I'm a different person because of it.
Exactly.
So if I want to become a meditator,
Hmm.
it's not just about meditating every day.
You're right.
It's about becoming a meditator.
It's about seeing yourself as that,
Yeah.
as a person who meditates.
I like that. But that sounds like a tricky thing to do.
It can be.
especially if you're just starting out.
Right.
What are some practical strategies?
Okay, well, one thing you can do
Yeah.
is focus on those small wins. So
Yeah.
each time you successfully complete your 5-minute meditation,
Yeah.
you remind yourself,
Yeah.
hey, I'm a meditator.
I'm a meditator because I just did that.
Exactly.
So you're building up the evidence.
Like you're gathering evidence
Yeah.
to support that new identity.
And then as you do that more and more,
Yeah.
it becomes easier and easier to see yourself that way.
Exactly. You're basically creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And the book also talks about this concept of habit stacking.
Yes, habit stacking is a great technique.
So this is about taking new habits and
Yeah.
integrating them into your existing routines.
Exactly. You're basically leveraging the power of habits you already have to make new habits stick.
So instead of just adding meditation to my to-do list,
Right.
I would stack it on top of brushing my teeth.
Exactly. So you could say, after I brush my teeth each morning,
Yeah.
I'll meditate for 5 minutes.
And then it becomes part of that routine.
Yeah, it's just because part of that routine.
And I don't have to think about it.
Exactly. It becomes automatic because you're already doing the other thing.
Yeah.
And Atomic Habits talks about how habit stacking
Mm-hmm.
can be really helpful
Yeah.
for those habits that you don't necessarily enjoy
Right.
or that don't have an immediate payoff.
Like flossing.
Like flossing.
Or saving money.
Yeah, we're saving money.
But if I stack it on top of getting my paycheck,
Exactly.
now it feels a little bit easier.
Yeah, it doesn't feel so daunting.
And the book also talks about this idea of the Goldilocks rule.
The Goldilocks rule.
So this is about finding that sweet spot of challenge
Yes,
to stay motivated.
exactly.
But how do you apply that to meditation?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, because it's not like running a marathon
Right.
where it's very clear how hard it is.
Yeah. Okay, so for meditation, the challenge might be more about the consistency
Okay.
or the duration.
So instead of aiming for a longer meditation,
Yeah.
I could aim to meditate more frequently.
Exactly.
So maybe I meditate twice a day,
Yeah,
even if it's just for a few minutes each time.
right.
Okay.
Or you could try different types of meditation
I like that.
to keep things interesting.
So it's about finding that right level of challenge
Mhm.
where it feels motivating,
Yeah,
but it doesn't feel impossible.
exactly. And it's going to be different for everybody.
Right.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Okay, so we've talked about the 4 laws. We've talked about identity. We've talked about habit stacking.
Yes.
We've talked about the Goldilocks rule.
Yes.
The book also talks about environment.
Environment is huge.
It's like our surroundings play a big role
Yeah, it plays a huge role.
in whether or not we stick to our habits.
Whether we realize it or not,
Yeah.
our environment is constantly sending us cues that either trigger our habits
Right.
or inhibit them.
So if my house is full of junk food,
Right.
it's going to be hard to eat healthy.
Exactly.
It's not just about willpower.
Right. It's about setting yourself up for success by designing your environment in a way that supports your goals.
So if I want to meditate regularly,
Okay.
I could create a little meditation space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could have a quiet corner
Yeah.
that's free from distractions.
Somewhere calming and peaceful.
Yeah, you could make it really inviting.
Yeah.
And then when you walk in there,
Yeah.
it cues you to want to meditate.
Yeah.
You could even just leave your meditation cushion out in the middle of the room.
Like a visual reminder
It's a visual cue.
that I'm supposed to be doing this.
Exactly.
And what about things like my phone?
Okay, so with distractions, like your phone,
Yeah.
you want to make those less accessible.
Oh,
So you could keep your phone in a different room while you're meditating,
I see.
or you could use an app that blocks distracting websites on your computer.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's about making it just a little bit harder
Yeah, make it a little bit harder.
to do the thing I'm not supposed to do,
Exactly.
and a little bit easier to do the thing I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
The book also talks about resetting the room.
Resetting the room.
Yeah, it tells the story of this guy,
Okay.
Oswald Knuckles,
Okay.
and he basically mastered all of his cleaning habits
Okay.
using this technique.
Okay.
So after every activity, he would reset the room
Okay.
to prepare for the next activity.
So if I'm done watching TV,
Yeah.
I put the remote back,
Hmm.
I straighten the pillows, I
Right.
fold the blanket.
Exactly. You're not just cleaning up.
Yeah.
You're preparing for the next action.
I like that.
It makes it so much easier to get started on the next thing.
Yeah, because it's like,
You're basically hitting the reset button
hitting the reset button.
on your environment.
And then it's like, I'm ready for the next thing.
Right. You're ready for the next chapter.
That's a great idea.
And it's not just physical clutter.
Okay.
Your digital environment can be cluttered too.
Oh, yeah.
So like your inbox or your to-do list
Right. All of that can be overwhelming.
It can feel overwhelming, and that makes it harder to focus.
Yeah, it creates friction.
Exactly.
And makes it hard to focus on the things that matter.
Exactly. So the book encourages us to streamline our digital lives and create systems that support our goals.
Okay, so we've talked about the 4 laws.
Yeah.
Identity habit stacking, Goldilocks rule, environment design, resetting the room. Is there anything else we should know about atomic habits?
Oh, there's so much in the book.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I want to highlight is those small wins. It's so easy to get caught up in wanting to make these huge changes.
Right. I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to start a business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Atomic Habits reminds us that all those big wins are really just the result of a lot of small wins.
Yeah.
Those little improvements that you do every single day.
It's like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
And the book encourages us to embrace those small wins, to celebrate those little victories, and to recognize that they're the building blocks of lasting change.
And that's a really powerful message to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
As we go into part 2 of this deep dive.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent.
Exactly.
And about embracing the power of those small habits.
Yeah, those small atomic habits.
That can really transform your life.
I agree.
Great stuff. We'll be back in a little bit to delve into some more key takeaways from Atomic Habits.
Sounds good. Welcome back. So we're continuing this deep dive into Atomic Habits. And one of the things that really struck me was this emphasis on small wins.
Yeah, I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in these like big, ambitious goals.
Right.
But like those small victories can be really powerful.
Absolutely. Atomic Habits really drives home that success isn't about this like big overnight transformation.
Right.
It's those tiny little improvements that we make every single day that add up.
It's like building a house, you know, brick by brick.
Yeah.
Each individual brick might not seem like much.
Right.
But you put them all together, you've got something really incredible.
That's a great analogy. And the book actually gives you some really practical tools for making those small changes stick.
Okay.
And one of my favorites is this idea of habit tracking.
Oh, yeah. I've heard a lot of people talk about habit tracking. What makes it so effective?
Well, for one, it just makes you more aware of your behavior.
Okay.
So when you're actually tracking your habits, you're more conscious of how often you're doing them.
Okay.
What are those things that are triggering those habits?
All right.
And how much progress are you actually making?
So it's like bringing those things that I do automatically into my conscious awareness.
Exactly. It's like you're shining a light on those automatic behaviors.
Yeah.
That we might just do mindlessly otherwise.
I see. And then is there anything else that makes it so powerful?
Well, it also provides a sense of accountability.
Okay.
So when you know that you're going to be tracking your progress, you're less likely to skip out on those habits.
Right. It's like I've got someone keeping score.
Yeah. It's like having a personal scorekeeper for your goals.
Yeah.
And then when you actually see those check marks or those X's adding up, it can be really motivating.
Yeah, like I'm building this chain.
Right.
And I don't want to break it.
Exactly. And breaking that chain feels bad.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose all that progress that you've made.
So it becomes almost like that aversion to breaking the chain becomes the motivator.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits highlights that habit tracking can be really good for those habits that don't have that immediate payoff.
Okay.
So like if you're trying to save money or lose weight.
It takes a while to see those results.
It takes a while to see those results.
Yeah.
So if you track it every day, you have that visual reminder.
Yeah.
That you're committed and you're putting in the effort.
Even if I can't see it yet.
Even if you can't see it yet.
Yeah.
So that can make a big difference.
It helps you stay motivated. When you don't have those like instant results.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits emphasizes that it's not just about tracking those good habits.
Okay.
But it's also about understanding those negative habits.
Right. Because sometimes those can be kind of sneaky.
They can be really sneaky.
And hard to identify.
It's true. So it often starts with just paying attention to how you feel.
Okay.
So which activities are leaving you feeling drained or frustrated or just unproductive?
Right. Like notice how I feel after I do something.
Yeah, notice how you feel.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your body.
And that can give me a clue.
Yeah.
As to whether or not it's a good or bad habit.
Exactly. And once you've identified those negative habits, the book suggests using a similar framework to those 4 laws of behavior change.
Okay.
But in reverse.
Oh, so to break a bad habit, I want to make it invisible, unattractive. Difficult and unsatisfying.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, if you want to spend less time on social media, you could make it invisible by deleting those tempting apps from your home screen.
Okay.
Or logging out of your accounts on your computer.
So just make it less accessible.
Make it less accessible.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing those cues all the time.
Yeah.
And then to make it unattractive.
Yeah.
Think about the negative consequences of spending too much time on social media.
Okay.
Maybe it's making you feel anxious or comparing yourself to others.
Right. It's like shifting my perspective on it.
Right.
Oh, this is a good thing to...
This is bad.
Or to be avoiding this.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then to make it difficult,
mm-hmm.
you could use an app that limits your time on social media.
Yeah.
Or even just put your phone in a different room.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
While you're working.
And then make it unsatisfying.
Unsatisfying.
How do I do that?
Well, you could just track how much time you're spending on social media.
Okay.
And then reflect on how that's making you feel.
I bet that would be really eye-opening.
It can be.
To see how much time I'm actually spending on there.
Yeah, it really brings those negative consequences to the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
Which can make that habit a lot less appealing.
Okay, so we've talked about small wins, habit tracking, negative habits. What else stands out to you from Atomic Habits?
Well, one of the things I thought was really interesting was this idea of using your identity to shape your habits.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So it's this recognition that your habits are often a reflection of how you see yourself.
Whoa. Okay, so if I see myself as a healthy person,
yeah,
I'm more likely to engage in healthy habits.
Exactly. Or if you want to start exercising regularly, but you see yourself as lazy or out of shape,
yeah,
it's going to be a lot harder to stick to those goals.
Right? Like I've got those limiting beliefs.
Exactly, holding me back. But if you start to see yourself as someone who is active and fit,
yeah,
your actions will naturally start to align with that new identity.
Like I'm not just changing what I'm doing,
right?
But I'm changing my beliefs about myself.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits suggest that you can actually use this to your advantage.
Okay.
By making small changes that reinforce your desired identity.
So like if I want to be a runner,
yeah,
but I've never run before, maybe I just start by putting on my running shoes and going for a walk.
Exactly. You're taking those small actions that are consistent with the identity that you want to create.
And each time I do that, it's like I'm casting a vote
Yeah.
for that new identity.
You're building evidence for the person you want to become.
Oh, I like that.
And as you gather more evidence,
yeah,
that new identity becomes stronger and stronger.
So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
So it's not I have to force myself to go to the gym.
Right. It's I'm the kind of person
who goes to the gym.
Who enjoys exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And does Atomic Habits give any tips?
Yeah, there are a lot of really practical tips in the book.
Okay.
For how to actually cultivate those identity-based habits.
Okay.
But one of the things that I really like is this idea of starting with a very small change. Something that feels almost too easy.
So it's like that low barrier to entry?
Yeah, super low barrier to entry. And then once you've mastered that small change, you can slowly increase the difficulty or the frequency.
So I don't try to run a marathon right away.
Exactly.
Maybe I run for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you start with 5 minutes.
And if I can do that consistently, then I start to build up that belief that I'm a runner.
You are a runner.
Which makes me want to keep running.
Exactly. It's like a virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
Where your actions reinforce your beliefs and your beliefs reinforce your actions.
And the book also talks about celebrating those small wins.
Yes. Why is that so important?
It all comes down to your brain's reward system.
Okay.
So when you experience pleasure or satisfaction, after you do something, your brain associates that behavior with positive feelings.
Okay.
Which makes you more likely to do it again in the future.
So it's like I'm training my brain.
Yeah, you're training your brain.
To see this as a good thing.
To see it as a good thing.
Yeah.
So those celebrations can be anything that feels rewarding to you.
Okay.
Maybe it's listening to your favorite music.
Yeah.
Maybe it's taking a relaxing bath.
Okay.
Maybe it's enjoying a delicious meal.
Like whatever makes you feel good.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits really emphasizes that those rewards don't have to be big or fancy.
Right.
Sometimes the simplest things can be the most effective.
Like just checking something off my to-do list.
Exactly.
And the book says it's particularly effective when it's immediate.
Yes, immediate rewards are so powerful.
Because our brains like instant gratification.
I love instant gratification.
Yeah. So if I can give myself that little reward right away.
Right then and there.
It really helps reinforce that habit loop.
Exactly.
Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into this idea of shaping our environment.
Yes. Environment is so important.
To support our habits.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like that's something we often overlook.
We really do.
Yeah.
We underestimate the power of our surroundings.
Yeah.
But Atomic Habits reminds us that our environment is constantly sending us cues.
Okay.
That are either triggering those habits or stopping them.
So if my kitchen's full of junk food.
Right.
It's going to be hard to eat healthy.
It's going to be really hard to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And the same goes for our digital environment.
Right.
If you're constantly bombarded with notifications and distractions on your phone, it's going to be hard to focus on your work or even your relationships.
So it's not just about having enough willpower.
Right.
It's about actually structuring my environment to support my goals.
You want to set up your environment for success.
And does the book give any tips on how to do that?
It does. It gives a lot of practical tips.
Okay.
And one of my favorites is this idea of making the cues for good habits really obvious.
Okay.
And the cues for bad habits less obvious.
So, for example, if I want to drink more water, I make sure I always have a water bottle.
You keep a full water bottle on your desk.
Yeah.
Or in your bag.
So it's a visual cue.
Exactly. It's right there front and center.
Remind me to drink.
To remind you to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And then to make those unhealthy cues less obvious.
Yeah.
You keep those tempting snacks out of sight.
Okay.
Or maybe delete those distracting apps from your phone.
So it's like I'm making the good habit easy.
You're creating a path of least resistance.
Yeah.
For those good habits.
And the book also talks about creating an environment that's like conducive.
Yeah.
To our habits.
So if you want to be more creative, you could surround yourself with artwork or books.
Or music that inspires you.
Or if I want to be more productive,
I
create a designated workspace.
Exactly.
That's free of distractions.
That's quiet and organized.
Yeah. So it's like I'm setting myself up for success.
You're setting yourself up for success.
By designing my environment to help me
support those goals.
Achieve those goals.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked about habit tracking, identifying those negative habits, the power of identity.
Absolutely.
Are there any other techniques in Atomic Habits?
Oh, there are so many.
Yeah.
But one that comes to mind is the 2-minute rule.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So the idea is to make it so easy to get started on a habit that you can't say no.
So instead of trying to meditate for 30 minutes, I just sit down and close my eyes for 2 minutes.
Exactly. And a lot of times you'll find that once you've overcome that initial resistance, you just keep going.
Yeah. It's like building momentum.
Exactly. It's all about building momentum.
And Atomic Habits says you can use this rule for pretty much any habit.
So if I want to start exercising, I don't go to the gym for an hour.
Right.
I just put on my workout clothes. 2 minutes.
Or if you want to start writing a book,
Yeah.
just commit to writing one sentence.
It's like taking that tiny little action.
Yep.
That gets me moving in the right direction.
And then over time, those small actions add up
Yeah.
to big results.
I like that. And then what about this temptation bundling?
Temptation bundling is great.
Okay.
It's all about pairing something that you want to do
Hey.
with something that you need to do.
So, like, I only let myself watch my favorite TV show
Yeah.
while I'm on the treadmill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're making that necessary habit more appealing
Yeah.
by pairing it with something that you enjoy.
It's like I'm tricking my brain
You're hacking your brain's reward system.
into doing the thing I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the book also talks about finding a game where the odds are in your favor.
This is such a good one.
What does that mean?
So it's all about choosing habits that are actually aligned with your natural strengths and abilities.
Okay.
So instead of trying to force yourself to do something that just doesn't feel natural, you're choosing things that actually feel enjoyable and effortless to you.
So I'm not trying to become someone I'm not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're embracing your unique strengths and talents.
So, like, if I'm introverted, maybe I'm not going to join a big group fitness class.
Right.
But I'm going to do something on my own.
You could start a journaling habit.
Yeah.
Or a reading habit.
Something that feels good to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And Atomic Habits suggests that one of the best ways to find those habits is to experiment.
So try new things.
Try new things.
See what feels good.
See what feels good.
It feels good.
And let go of the things that don't.
Exactly. Be curious. be playful, and you'll find those things that really light you up.
And that can change over time.
Right, absolutely. What feels good today might not feel good tomorrow.
So it's all about being adaptable and flexible.
Okay, so we've talked about habit tracking those negative habits, identity, the 2-minute rule.
Temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling, finding a game where the odds are in my favor.
Yes.
Anything else we should know?
Oh, there's always more.
Yeah.
But I think the big takeaway from Atomic Habits is that it's not just a self-help book.
Okay.
It's really a guide to understanding human behavior.
And making those small changes.
Yes.
That can lead to big results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's given us so much to think about in terms of how we approach our own habit journey.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
It's about consistency.
Yeah.
Small changes, big impact.
That's a good one.
That's the essence of Atomic Habits.
Okay, great stuff. We'll be back in a bit for the final part of our deep dive into Atomic Habits. All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive on Atomic Habits. We talked about a lot, the 4 laws of behavior change. Identity, the power of our environment.
It's been a lot.
But there's still more to uncover.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And one of the things that really stood out to me was how much the book emphasizes reflection. So it's not just about doing the same things over and over again.
Right.
It's about stepping back and looking at how things are going.
Absolutely. It's like treating your habits like experiments.
Oh,
You're constantly gathering data and refining your approach.
So it's okay if I need to make adjustments.
Oh, yeah. You shouldn't be afraid to tweak things.
Yeah.
Especially if something's not working.
It's like having that growth mindset.
Exactly.
It's not about being perfect right away.
Right. It's a process.
Yeah.
And setbacks are going to happen.
And the book gives some good questions to think about when I'm reflecting.
Yeah. Like what's working well?
Okay.
What's actually helping me get closer to my goals?
So I can figure out what to keep doing.
Exactly. Double down on those things.
And then what's not working.
Yeah. What's holding me back?
Okay.
What are those obstacles?
Yeah. So I can try to overcome those.
And then what can I change to make this habit more effective?
Or maybe more enjoyable.
Or more enjoyable. Exactly.
So it's not about finding the perfect habit right away. It's about constantly improving.
It's all about continuous improvement.
Yeah. I like that. And the book also talks about reflecting on our identity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how are my habits shaping who I am?
This is so powerful.
It's like I'm making sure what I'm doing is in line with who I want to be.
Exactly. Are your habits helping you become the person you want to be?
Yeah.
Are they supporting your long-term goals?
It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day.
It really is.
And lose sight of the bigger picture.
You get lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
But reflection helps you zoom out.
Yeah.
And make sure you're on the right track.
And Atomic Habits also talks about accountability.
Accountability is huge.
Yeah.
It can make such a big difference.
Like having someone to check in with.
Exactly.
Can really help me stay on track.
It's like having a cheerleader in your corner.
Yeah.
Who's motivating you to keep going.
And the book talks about this thing called a habit contract.
A habit contract.
Yeah. So is this like a real contract?
Yeah. It's basically a written agreement that outlines your habit goals. The steps you're going to take to achieve those goals.
Okay.
And then the consequences for not following through.
So it's like I'm really making a commitment.
Yeah. You're putting some skin in the game.
And the book tells this story about this entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, Brian Harris.
Who used this to reach his fitness goals.
Yeah, he basically made a bet.
Okay.
With his wife and his trainer.
Wow.
That if he didn't hit his daily targets, there would be consequences.
It's amazing how sometimes we need that external accountability.
Sometimes it's easier to let ourselves down than to let other people down.
But even if I don't want to make like a formal contract, just having someone to check in with can be helpful.
Absolutely.
So that could be like a friend, a family member, a coach,
a therapist.
Like anyone who's supporting my goals.
Yeah, anyone who's in your corner.
Okay. And then technology can also help with accountability.
Oh, yeah. There are so many apps these days.
Okay.
That can help you track your progress, share your goals with others, and get support.
It's like having this like virtual support group.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we finish up this deep dive, I want to go back to one of the biggest takeaways.
Okay.
That small changes over time can lead to really big results.
This is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so encouraging.
It is.
Because it means you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
You don't have to make these big changes all at once.
It's about those tiny little habits.
Yeah, those atomic habits.
I can change everything.
They can transform your life.
And it's not about being perfect.
It's about being consistent.
Yeah.
Celebrate those small wins.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes. And never give up.
I like that. And James Clear says success is the product of daily habits.
Yeah.
Not once-in-a-lifetime transformations.
That's such a good quote.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on atomic habits, we want to leave you with a challenge.
A challenge.
What's one small change that you can make today to become a better version of yourself?
Keep that question in mind.
Yeah.
And remember, even the smallest actions, when you do them consistently, can have huge results.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes.
We hope you found it helpful.
We'll see you next time.